lied or request an update on the crime which you have previously reported to us, you should have the crime reference number in the format of 7 digits /2 digits. For operators who are often really busy, the quickest way to send or request your update is via our website at www.met.police.uk/contact. That's www.met.police.uk/contact. Alternatively, if you have your crime reference number and want to speak to a member of our team, please be patient whilst an operator becomes available. Please note that the lines are open Monday to Friday between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Oh, hello. I'm ringing with regards to the case to get an update. I've been emailing, heard nothing back. The case officer's not responding to anything, so I just want to know what's happening. Yeah, 3004-112/23.
3004-112?
Yeah, /23. Yeah.
Right, okay. Can I take your full name and date of birth, please?
Yeah, Natasha Simpson, 20. However, I'm at a different location since August when she told me she'd be visiting the perpetrators. I can't go back around to my property. I can't even, that's why I'm calling. Everything's on hold. She hasn't given me feedback. It's the neighbour and gang stalking in the wider community. It's a group of people.
Okay, let me have a look at this then. Right, well, from what I can see, this case has been closed.
Right, see?
It was closed on the 25th of November. Let me have a look at this and tell you why. Does it sound a surprise to you?
Yes, it is. No, I wasn't expecting that, but it's happened before, and to be honest with you, there's been misconduct with officers and illegal referrals, and there's blatant evidence of a crime taking place continuously. So,
sorry, let me just interrupt you. The officer has put a report on here to say that they have told you about it.
no, they haven't, and they didn't before. This is what I'm saying. She's just left me here. I would rather she didn't though, this is the issue. She's not contacting me.
I'm going to ask her again to contact you to explain what's happened. I'm going to have to end the call now because I'm coming in, okay?
Okay, bye.
Alright, thank you, bye.
What you just heard is the crime management team and an officer advising me that the case that I'm the victim in has been closed without my knowledge, without any feedback following visits to the perpetrators for the second time. Now, PC Hanrahan, this is not the first time she has closed this case, hence me saying I do not want to speak with her anymore. Apparently she'd been trying to get in touch. She has been saying she's been trying to get in touch since February. I was in the property from February to August and collated much evidence during that time. She has since that time avoided all and any communications with me directly, and she is continually in breach of Police Reform Act guidelines and my rights as a victim to remain up to date with what is happening within investigations, bearing in mind that I've had to leave the property. I left the property on the 22nd of August following, and you will hear this shortly, some of the abuse and harassment that was taking place, but also by that point, we were dealing with conspiracy to murder, we were dealing with gang stalking in the wider community, and continued breaches to my human rights. My name is Natasha Simpson. My ex-partner, Felix Tomaza, who is a martial arts former champion, and his girlfriend, Anna Harrington, a device engineer, tried to destroy my reputation, my sanity, and attempted to take my life.
Relentless. The whole point is to disturb my peace. Imagine waking up to that as well. It's constant. She doesn't sleep. She's trying to disguise it as something else, other than what it actually is. Months of this, day in, day out, and this is the quieter version. I'm back on airplane mode. This is wild. I'm in the bedroom corner, by the way. I'm just gonna This is what she does when she can't access me. And this is how they tried to send me potty. But it's actually her with mental health issues.
If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. I need to keep notes because there's so much here, and I just want to keep this video short and sweet. I'm recording in a toilet right now because I don't have all my equipment with me, but I want to get this out now. They hacked all my devices and my email accounts repeatedly, and they still are doing this. This began February 2022 when they began texting me for a whole year, telling me that they are hacking my accounts. They also indicated that they are watching me and stated that I am a hostage to a fortune and that I am zero wiser as to what it is they were doing.
What you're seeing on the screen, Google, Gmail, Hotmail, Samsung, these were accounts that were indeed hacked. And there's proof of this via Google. You can look through your security settings and see also, have I been pawned? My Hotmail account, there's too many to even go through on there. So all of those accounts were repeatedly being accessed, and it was somebody with my password who had access to my password via devices without my awareness. In addition to where it says zero riser, in the 3 other texts that were sent from Anna Harrington's phone specifically, the statements pretty reckless, hostage to fortune, and the name of somebody who I'd searched during COVID, early COVID, before I received the text, to see if they'd passed and if I were a beneficiary in their will. That person's name was also mentioned in line where you see zero riser there, along with 2 of their offspring. She would only know this if she'd been watching me to see who I've been searching for on Google. I did not complete that search, and in addition to that information, in those accounts, my birth certificate, my driver's license, my passport and my electronic signature were lying around in the compromised and repeatedly accessed accounts.
Fraudulent activity took place with all the accounts that they'd stated they'd hacked. The fraud involves a property, an Airbnb in Ireland, the door codes, entry codes to this property, bank accounts, 2 bank accounts that were repeatedly texted to me on a number based in the UK and a number based in Ireland. In addition, an electricity company, utility company, Electricity Ireland, also texted me.
What you're seeing are the bank details. The top one is a UK bank account, the bottom one is an Ireland bank account, and as I said, the electricity company, door entry codes to this flat Airbnb property, and what it would appear to be is that I were in on or aware I was in fact zero wiser.
In September 2022, I began to experience disconnections to my internet. I didn't know what was going on, but every time I was home, my internet would go down. It would go down, I'd have no internet, I'd have to bap about trying to find out what was going on.
Everything I'm saying would be logged with my internet service provider O2, who I repeatedly contacted to let them know that something was going on with my internet. I never had bad service with them. They came out, they checked the mask, so everything will be logged. It was a nightmare. I could not maintain a connection on the hour. Every hour from September it would go down.
At that point, I wasn't working from home. I usually work from home. Due to COVID, yada yada yada, I was doing odd jobs, so that meant I was out a lot. But from September to December, I want to say I didn't know what was going on. And then I found out in December that I was experiencing DDoS attacks to my server.
Denial of service attacks. DDoS attacks target websites and servers by disrupting network services in an attempt to exhaust an application's resources. The perpetrators behind the attacks flood the site with errant traffic, resulting in poor website functioning or knocking it offline altogether.
And this was done with the use of multiple devices. I screenshot everything.
In addition to the disconnections, I would often find my mobile hotspot on when I specifically turned it off. Apps were being accessed and restricted from my access. The police were advised of all of these things that were occurring, unusual things and activities, in addition to the sound of somebody running down the stairs
just before my connection would go down, and then the multiple devices appearing 10 minutes before my connection went down, and about 10 minutes after they would disappear. She would also hide mobile devices behind the names of internet service providers, branding such as Community Fibre and Sky being some of her favourites. This was to disguise what it was she was actually doing with her mobile devices, which was watching other people. A very serious computer misuse crime, obviously illegal and an offence. In addition to duplicating my Wi-Fi connection name, she had over 20 device names that I've screenshots of and have all been recorded. Then in February 2023, I began to receive texts from the UK mobile number outlining a plot to end my life with murder. In the plot to end my life, they outlined robbing me, stealing from me, identity theft, fraud, corruption, spying on me, and detailed that I would be diagnosed with a mental health, serious mental health issue such as schizophrenia. So now I want to get into these texts. Now these texts are pivotal and actually integral to this case. They thought they were being smart. They thought they were being slick when they sent these texts, and I want to note that the Metropolitan Police told me to delete these texts, told me that they were random and remote, told me that they were probably just spam along with all the other texts. I did not do anything they suggested. What you are seeing are the texts sent from Anna Harrington's device specifically. Now this conspiracy to murder plot was veiled behind book titles, TV series and movie titles, and the plot was in the synopses of all of those movie, book and TV series titles. It was all in the details, and when I first got them I saw these texts as malicious communications. The Metropolitan Police did not. It later became clear that this was always the intention. In the same way as hiding the mobile devices behind commercial branding to make them appear as if they are something that they are not, is the same way she texted the plot Anna Harrington in a sick and twisted way, wanted me to know what her intention and motivation was. She was so confident, and I believe it's because she has done this to other people and gotten away with it before. This was already playing out in real time. And in this plot, they outlined the fraud, the identity theft, that somebody would be diagnosed as schizophrenic, and the identity, i.e. ethnicity of the person who would be diagnosed as such and deemed the mad person in the attic would be Caribbean, which is my descent. Also, the recruit, where somebody would be spied on, and that somebody has ties internationally to the CIA and a spying agency, and in addition to that, corruption would take place. Also, that the person would be sent ominous letters, or in this case text, much like in The Watcher, that was sent and plagued by these texts, as is the case for me, and that they had strange neighbours, someone being marked publicly, much like the gang stalking that occurred with me, as in the Scarlet Letter, character defamed, ostracised by the wider community, suicide, rape, buying humans, trafficking, robbing people of their assets, killers of the flower moon, and again identity theft and fraud and murder. In addition, she describes herself in Pearl and Living. She and others I will touch on later also practice witchcraft daily and were part of a coven that included my ex-partner Felix Tomaza. Bottom line here is that this was a cover, having defrauded and did whatever they were doing with my identification documents for a whole year. They needed to come up with a plan that would silence me and take me out permanently. And in addition to that, they needed for me to lack mental capacity. Now, we can surmise and say that the officers that I'll discuss later that made an illegal referral, as mentioned in the beginning, to a psychiatric hospital maybe were involved here, or they were just corrupt and misconduct needs to be addressed. And obviously there is some internalized racial bias taking place there. Anna Harrington is white, as are all the officials I came into contact with. The bottom line here, the motive was money and driving me crazy and up the wall and eventually taking me out with murder was all part of the plan that went on to play out again in real time. Later on I'm going to be talking more about the failures by the judicial system, the 3 officers involved, and Helen Hayes, local MP and Shadow Minister for Education, who for 3.5 months while I was left in the scene of the crime, no one believing me, and had to take and record and uncover this whole crime myself. She did nothing, and she was sent emergent evidence continuously. She did not hold officers accountable. She didn't do her job. I continuously reported this. The police did nothing. Okay? They looked at me as if something were wrong with me when actually this was happening. I traced myself. I traced the sender of the UK text to the property upstairs and the source of my disconnections. The property belonged to Anna Harrington, Felix Tomaza, my ex-partner's girlfriend. Felix Tomaza, former martial arts champion, and I do not speak. We don't have any communication. He doesn't have my contact details, so neither should she. They were both targeting me and had already begun to enact their plan in real time regarding the property, and something that I am very much zero wiser about, yet being held hostage to some kind of fortune, as well as the disconnections and the fraudulent activity. I was also now being bullied behind the scenes. I didn't react, I didn't lash out, I didn't go and bang on any doors. I just did the right thing and recorded everything I was hearing, everything I was hearing.
It's her letting me know that she's in range. She's a fucking freak. It's a madhouse. It's not even funny. This girl is obsessed. I'm moving her back. She's following me and she wants me to know she's following me. I'm out the back and this is what I have to part with. There's no need for what she's doing. All because I'm disabling Google Play and putting airplane mode on. Once again right above the devices. She's noticed the devices are on. The device A12 is on. Let me check. She's been doing this to wake me up, follow me around. Yes, she's accessed my system UI, my mic again. Every note, as soon as I turn, I'll start speaking, it stops because she's on my mic. Just like that. The software upstairs she's using is what enables her to do this. But bottom line, she's nearby sharing and this phone has been on airplane mode. That was her front ring door. That's what I hear quite often. This is witness intimidation. Still toggling airplane mode. Passive aggressive behaviour for months. All of that, and even though it's in the system, it escalates. It just continues to escalate. She thinks she owns me or something.
Again, with further and repeated evidence, as if I needed more, outside of the fact that these people should not have had my number in the first place, I contacted the Met. Again, the Metropolitan Police continuously, now with the noise disturbances, now confirming the identity of the individual upstairs and the relationship, making this a domestic abuse scenario. As the victim of serious and organised crime, ongoing harassment, repeated interferences to my internet, making it impossible for me to work, I repeatedly and continuously still contacted the Met. Eventually, they referred me to the community team. This was the response unit. They referred me to the community team, and officers Well, Comfort and Mustafa at Tulse Hill community team attended, said they would visit the perpetrators, and then did not return after that visit to provide any feedback as they said they would. They ended up referring me without checking anything out that I'd said to South London and Maudsley Hospital, which is a hospital of psychiatry for psychiatry, serious mental health issues. I'm livid. It doesn't even end now. They left me in the scene of the crime for 3.5 months. And by this time, the perpetrators knew that I knew their identities. This was between April and August. During that time, I had to investigate the crime myself. Just like I had to find out who was causing the disconnections, who was sending me these malicious communications. And again, this is what was happening behind the scenes.
Imagine waking up to that as well. It's constant. She doesn't sleep.
This was morning, noon and night. It was incessant and it was torture, and it was intended to torture me. It was intended for me to be driven to insanity. This was psychological and emotional abuse.
This is that covert domestic abuse, guys. Covert psychological and emotional abuse. A different form of it, but hidden, passive aggressive nonetheless. And this is what has been going on behind the scenes, behind the facade. Everything I've been saying is the truth. But this is all to cover up something that she's done with my identification. Wild.
And it was all happening behind closed doors. Continuous cries for help were ignored. In April, I had begun communicating with Helen Hayes. She's the Shadow Minister for Education, but she's also my local MP. I was in her constituency and her constituent, and I was relaying to her what was going on. Isn't that interesting? I was relaying to her what was happening to me. explain to her what was happening to me, who the perpetrators were, and also that the Metropolitan Police officers, Wales, Comfort and Mustafa, had made a referral without my consent, and this was illegal. They also lied on the report in terms of their findings and omitted key information.
What you're seeing on the screen is the Metropolitan Police letter in response to Helen Hayes' request to find out why a referral was made illegally on my behalf. Now, a side note, this letter was on a USB inside my house, and then you've got to imagine what it was like. She's above me, so every single device was accessible to her, including the letter that was on a USB. So she accessed this, and hence I do believe, which is why the behaviour that we saw and we've heard escalated, because she was very much up to date with what was happening, because she had access to all my emails and any device I had anything stored on. So as you can see, they said it was unclear how I could hear anything. In other words, as you've heard, this is very much to the contrary, and I could hear everything that was happening. They said there was not a crime taking place. Again, on the contrary, as we can see, there was indeed crimes, plural, taking place, but they didn't care to check or investigate any of my evidence or any of the perpetrators, and on a base level, why they even had my number in the first place would have been a good place to start. And by that point, 3 numbers had been hacked and 3 devices, including Wi-Fi and mobile data. They blamed the condition, quote unquote, of my property, yet turned up at my property without an appointment, and at that point when they turned up, 2 males and a female officer, Wales, Comfort and Mustafa, I hadn't even had a chance to get dressed, so I felt very vulnerable and at the same time relieved that they had come and I thought were there to help. In short, I was victimised further by the attending officers. They said I repeated myself. People, I am the victim in a serious and organised crime that had been going on at this point for months. I think I could be forgiven. However, they spent minutes with me, didn't go over specific details. As a victim who has reported a crime, to me, and I'm sure to the objective eye, that smacks of a lack of empathy and is victimisation. Further, by the people that are in positions to support you as a victim. They said I'd only met Miss Harrington 2 years prior. Indeed, she knocked my door brazenly during early COVID, when we were all advised not to leave our property, to social distance from people, and somehow, some way, she said her sheet had landed on my balcony. Now, people, she would have been watching me at this time, and at that point I'd already made the search to find out if I were a beneficiary in a will. I wasn't unfriendly, didn't know who she was. I gave her sheet, even though, based on what the government was saying, that was putting my life in danger. Kept it short and sweet, and she closed the front door. However, as we see, she knew me. And
was in a relationship with my ex-partner. This was stated to the officers, and they have clearly omitted specific information, relevant information from this report to make it appear as if I am the one bothering her. On base level, I did not lack mental capacity, and that would have been the only basis for a referral. Safeguarding guidelines, Mental Capacity Act procedures and the Care Act procedures were not adhered to by the officers. My conversation with the officers ended with, they would be visiting the perpetrators and get back to me within 48 hours. I went upstairs to visit the perpetrator, one of the perpetrators. I could hear laughter, and this was a red flag. Now, it was also mentioned in the emails to Helen Hayes, and all of our communication throughout that period that I was left in the property will be detailed in those emails. And just as is the case with PC Hannah Young, I never heard from them again, and they made a referral illegally without guideline adherence, as in an initial conversation with the vulnerable person is part of the procedure unless they lack mental capacity. You do not see this anywhere in the report. Lies. Just like PC Hannah Young, who said she spoke to me. Lies on an official report. I responded with evidence to Helen Hayes. She also ignored my pleas for justice and for something to be done about what I was going through, which I had a hunch was also impacting other residents who may have been viewed without their knowledge. In addition to that, I sent her evidence of the abuse and the harassment behind closed doors. She ignored my pleas for justice. She overlooked and did not address the omissions and misconduct by the Metropolitan Police officers concerned. And although she acknowledged harassment, which is antisocial behaviour at the very least, still did nothing. Again, I kept a log of everything, and I witnessed multiple crimes being committed, including perverting the course of justice, including disposal of evidence, and other neighbours that were involved in this crime. My ex-partner lives in the block. Other residents that were directly communicating and in collusion multiple times a day on the phone with Anna Hamilton, and could hear everything, which disproved again what the officers stated on their report. The flat beneath me and two female residents were also involved and would collude and aid with Anna Hamilton on a repeated and everyday basis. I could hear phone calls, I could hear what they were saying, I could also hear the rituals that they would perform in the property beneath me, and I recorded everything. Felix Tamaza, Anna Harrington, the two residents beneath me of African descent, were trying to destroy my life. In August 22, things became too much. The plan was playing out in real time, and by now I was being marked publicly and gang-stalked everywhere I went. This was by strangers. I was also tracked everywhere I went via my devices. And any attempts to contact the authorities were thwarted if I tried to make any contact in the area via my devices, including at the job centre, by staff and the manager. I was scared, terrified even at this point, and the case officer who the Met kept saying was trying to get in touch with me had not tried to get in touch with me at all, and was responsible for closing the case previously. PC Hannah Young is now still trying to suppress the case even after I visited her in August. She has said she would be visiting the perpetrators in the same way as they did before with the 3 officers. She said she would be visiting them. She asked me if I wanted to go to court. I said yes. I have rights under the Police Reform Act. I have rights as a victim in this case. I'm at a new location. I had to get away from the property and the area. And I still have no stalking protection order in place, yet I am still being gang-stalked. My devices at the new location are repeatedly being accessed, my email, and yet again, they've left me in a vulnerable situation. They do not want me to speak. They do not want me to move or do anything with regards to this case. There is indeed corruption, and this was outlined in those texts. I'm telling my story, and I refuse to be silenced in this manner, in any manner, and I want justice, and I want my human rights to be respected and upheld by the law. I have a right to privacy. I have a right to peace. There is enough evidence here to show mens rea, which is intent, to show actus reus, which is action, repeatedly, every day, every single day, and conscious planning, malice aforethought. These are the 3 things that are needed for this to go to court. I've had to investigate. I have all the evidence, and I'm not being asked for any. My life has been turned upside down for the past 2 years. 2 years, over 20 crimes have been committed against me. My human rights breached over and over again, and public authority figures who are in place to help me have also been involved. I want everyone involved held accountable in a court of law. I have so much intel. At this point, it's ridiculous, including where cameras were when gang stalking took place, and that also involves the job centre, a public authority.
Some of the gang stalking behaviours would include strangers taking my picture on their devices, and they weren't discreet about it.
They would try to catch me in the background, they would do a pan, many different ways they would do this. Sometimes they were just blatant, as I've said, but they also were brazen enough to follow me practically to my front door. Now, again, surveillance is everywhere, and this will have been picked up multiple times, in addition to it happening at the police station over the course of hours. So again, there is evidence, and I would suggest that those who are in this group to utilise possibly Crime Stoppers and report what you know anonymously. Basically, people that are in range of my device, here Anna Harrington, the perpetrator, are able to access my devices. Now, this has been displayed basically in the past, whereby she's nowhere near me. However, she is contacting individuals, and obviously all of those things are recorded, records can be pulled up, and I said surveillance has been in place on multiple occasions where and when gang stalking via computer misuse has taken place, and what she's able to do is access their device and then stay in range of mine. And this is all an intimidation and witness intimidation tactic. The group and gang stalkers appear to be communicating on WhatsApp through an encrypted chat. And how do I know this? Because they were so brazen that one of them sat next to me and said to someone that I would be taken out on the 27th of August, which is why I left my property on the 22nd and went to see PC Hannah Young, who, again, is not doing her job. And then came to my new location, and I demand that a protection order is put in place, and this can only be done by the Met. This is appalling, absolutely appalling. Let's not forget, this whole situation begins with my ex-partner, Felix Tamanza, and his girlfriend, Anna Harrington. They are involved in a cult, and they were defrauding me behind the scenes, and this has been a cover for the crimes they were committing with my identity documents in Ireland, with a property which obviously has something to do with me, including those 2 bank accounts. I've had 3 phone numbers hacked. I've had 3 devices hacked. My IP addresses, their communications will be logged with service providers. There's no getting away from the evidence. There is a data footprint all over this. This must be investigated. I demand my rights to an investigation. This is wrong, and God forbid others are going through this, but I know they are, and this is based on the fact that the confidence with which they are enacting this repeatedly without fear shows they think they are above the law. I demand justice. You won't silence me. I won't be bullied. And again, I'm exercising my freedom of speech, my human rights in this scenario. If you got to the end of this video, I appreciate you staying with me, because I know the sound has been off, audio up and down, and literally it has been a nightmare. My device has repeatedly been accessed, and everything I'm saying now and have said throughout this video can be evidence. I've got the receipts. Now people, the level with which this person, Anna Harrington, is going to access my devices is astonishing. Even now, as I've said, whilst editing this video, she's consistently trying to access my device remotely. I'm on airplane mode. I'm not even connected to the internet. And let me tell you something. There's so much I've got to share with regards to how she does this. It's very interesting stuff, but at the same time, she's breaching my human rights. It's constantly in airplane mode. That's how I keep blocking her. But I've got to say this. What you see on the screen is she's making herself a user on the device. This indicates two things. She's in range of my device. That means she's in the vicinity. Just let that sink in for a second. That means she's in the vicinity and utilising other people that are in the vicinity. Whichever the case, she ain't supposed to be doing this. She's breaking the law. This is serious computer misuse, aggressive stalking. So let me tell you what a privilege is. As you can see, she's granting herself privileges. This is while I'm working. Like yesterday, I was on the laptop for a few hours, and I mean, we're talking over 50 attempts. Over 50 attempts. I'm constantly having to put my finger on that airplane mode button in order to block her from my device. But a privilege is an escalation attack, and it's a cyber attack that basically aims to gain unauthorized access into a system and attempt to access elevated rights, permissions, entitlements, or privileges. So for a hacker, privileges is the escalation and the art of elevating a privilege until you can gain such a vast amount of privileges that you can actually take over the computer that you're trying to access, so you can become the administrator on that computer, which is what she did to my Windows 7. On the Windows 7 in 2017, she made herself a user. I didn't know this until recently, and I didn't understand what that meant. So I screenshot it. I've got with everything else. That laptop is evidence, as are my two devices, my Androids, that they were the phones, and now this Dell laptop. And again, this is mind-blowing. The whole thing has been pretty mind-blowing. It's not the movies, this is actually real. A campaign of abuse, which was to end in my life being taken. And block any forward movement, and we can see and have understood what the motivation is there, is mind-blowing, and it's not to be taken lightly. Obviously, there are people with a lot to lose here, including officials. The police have, for the second time, put my life in danger. I'm seeking compensation for what I've had to go through and endure repeatedly on an everyday basis. I want answers, and I want people held accountable, and for this to never happen to anyone again. Corrupt officials must be outed, and they need to be looked at, again, relative to the law. I would like to say at this time, if there are any profiles out there with my likeness, they are not me. And in addition to that, please report those profiles. And I will say I haven't been actively on social media for years. Now, what I will also add is that during my time in I want to say captivity. Whilst I was investigating the crime, being bullied on an everyday basis and not being believed by the police that something was going on, what I did was channel my energies into a creative project. The project is called Quoted Clobber. I'm going to put the name on the screen. Now, that was the only channel or any kind of profile social media wise that I have utilised, and it was a faceless channel. It was centred around mental health. It is centred around mental health. It's still up, but what I want to add, after having to deal with her breathing down my neck, watching everything I was doing on my devices, stifling my creativity, and to be honest with you, I felt violated while I was working. And what I want to add is that only recently, I abandoned it 7 months ago. Having abandoned it, recently I went to look at the channel. Now, I have evidence of what I'm going to say to you next, but the first page that came up when I looked for the channel was that this channel doesn't exist, does not exist. And I screenshot that, just like everything else that has been going on. I'm not a lawyer, and I know I haven't outlined all the crimes here that have taken place. I also want to say that it wouldn't be smart to say everything in this video about what I know. So I am holding quite a lot of information back, and I'm leaving a lot of the detail for when I go to court, because this is going to court, and at that time I can reveal my full hand. You can see on the screen this crime involves so many offences, but defamation of character has been at the core to cover up the identity fraud, the identity theft that has been taking place. At this point, I need a lawyer that covers all of the areas that we are looking to deal with here. We're talking human rights breaches, we're talking public authority breaches, and we're talking somebody who deals with criminal law. I'm exercising my freedom of speech, Article 10, and rights to a criminal investigation and to be protected by the law. This is Article 2, and I'm exposing names because I believe this is in the public interest. I dare anybody to take me to court for that. So I can literally bury them with the facts and what has really occurred here. With regards to the economic abuse, I'm in a bit of a stuck position right now. So lawyer fees are necessary, living expenses are necessary. This is my job right now, to get justice. So any donations are welcome. You're going to find details of a GoFundMe in the description, and any other details with regards to contacting me will be there also. Please share this video. Like the video to help it build traction, and thank you for all and any kind of support now and going forward. Thanks for watching. No justice, no peace.